Hey guys, this is Coach Becca here. Welcome to my functional strength workout for endurance athletes. Again, here's the equipment that you might use today. A kettlebell. Again, it's not a big deal if you have some, all, or none of the equipment I'm showing here. A dumbbell. You can use what you have at home. You can use nothing at all. You can get creative if you have other equipment you'd like to use. We'll also be using a circle band and a foam roller. We're going to be doing 3 exercises with each piece of equipment today, 12 reps of everything, and I'll demonstrate it all. All right, go ahead and place the foam roller right there on the top of your foot like I just mentioned. Place light pressure on the foam roller as you hinge at the hip. And if you don't have a foam roller, you can just do this with your hands relaxed, reaching towards the floor. So all these movements, if you don't have equipment, you can essentially do without the equipment and mimic the same exact movement pattern. The foam roller helps engage your core, gives you a little something to push on for some of you that struggle with stability. It might give you a little bit of a sense of stability, so it might help you there. I also feel it helps remind me to deeply engage my core, which is an important part of balance. This exercise specifically works on stability and mobility in the hips, knees, and ankles. I'll be showing an option if you're really struggling with the foam roller in this position here when I switch sides. All right, that was 12. Again, I'll do all the repetitions so you can just follow along with me or count to yourself if you'd like. Again, squeeze that core as you lean back. And if you need to rearrange your area like I have to, that's totally fine. Here I'm in my bike room today. I just finished a bike session and I like to get my workouts in right off the bike if I can. Helps me recover and rejuvenate more efficiently. Here's that alternative that I was mentioning. If you're really struggling, if you just can't get a solid reach, you can put the foam roller in this position and it can assist you. One thing I want to encourage you to do is kind of make the letter T with your body, not the letter W. Don't worry about how far down your chest or your hands go at the front of the exercise. Worry about keeping your shoulders in line with your heel. That's going to require more core and glute strength and more coordination. Good quality movements here. Looking great out there. I know that this one can really challenge a lot of us. So hang in there. Eventually, the more you do this and the more mobile and stable you get, the better you'll become. Okay, up next we have an overhead squat. So place your feet just outside the shoulders. Toes can go slightly out, just slightly. Bring your arms up overhead if you have the foam roller, or if you don't have a foam roller, your arms are in the same position. Inhale as you lower down into a deep squat. Exhale as you stand up. Think about having great posture here. And some of you might have really stiff or sore legs or really tight hip flexors. So just ease into this stretch. I kind of prefer to think of it that way, as a dynamic stretch, as I wake up the muscles in my glutes, quads, and even my core. It's a challenging posture-based exercise, so again, keep a nice rigid core. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, and try to stack your joints as best you can. Well done. Last exercise with the foam roller before we move on is the dead bug. Now, if you don't have a foam roller, just keep your arms and legs in the same position as I have them here. Extend one arm overhead and one leg directly out, then bring them together at the same time. You're essentially lengthening one half of your body and then shortening. So think get long, then get short, only on one side. Let's show you again from the side, and then we'll begin our 12 repetitions. So again, the foam roller goes on your toe and in between your fingertips. And then you're gonna lengthen and then shorten on the other side, or open, close. You wanna think about bringing your foot away from your hands at the same time. So this one works on core stability, core coordination. Definitely a coordination one. If you've never done a dead bug before, I invite you to just press pause and practice a few times. It's one of the most functional core exercises out there, and I really enjoy dead bugs. If there's one movement I could do every day, it would be a dead bug or a glute bridge, which you're doing both of those today. All right, we're going to switch sides, and I'm going to move a little closer for some of you that may need a better angle here. So again, place the foam roller between your foot and your hand. And again, you're extending one arm overhead as you lower the same leg on the same side down. Watching and trying to do is probably the easiest way to learn this exercise. And once you get the hang of it, think about your breathing. Inhale, then exhale. Inhale and exhale. A great way to stretch the hips while working the core. The foam roller adds a little piece of stability in there. It makes it a little more challenging in some ways, and I really enjoy using that tool. You could also use a physio ball, or you could use no foam roller at all. Get the same benefit. All right, up next we're going to use our TheraBand, or a circle band. Now, if you have one, you're going to put it right around the knees. We're going to do a little pattern here of bridges and holding. If you don't have a band, do the same movements, just don't worry about the band. The band's just going to make us use our glutes a little bit more dynamically. Okay, so we're doing 12 glute bridges here. I've already begun. So go ahead and press the hips up and down. Exhale as you push up, inhale, lower down. This is a great glute and core exercise, and it's only enhanced by the band. So we're going to do 12 bridges, and then we're going to do a bridge hold. So that way we're working muscular strength with the bridges and also muscular endurance by holding. All right, hips are up and we're holding now. So press those hip bones as high as you can towards the ceiling and breathe. Feel that band enhancing this movement, waking up some of the more quiet glute muscles that we have. All right, here we go, back to bridges. So you're going to press the hips up and down now. I really like the contrast in muscle movements and patterns, the up and down movements into the holding movements. I think that really provides our muscles with a good sense of dynamic change and even maybe a little bit of muscle confusion. If you're not used to doing that kind of contrast, you might enjoy that today. It might really challenge you too. Looking great. Make sure those feet stay flat on the floor and you're pressing those hips up all the way. Okay, go ahead and begin your isometric hold or your static hold now. Again, press those hips up into the ceiling and continue to breathe as you squeeze your glutes and your core. And we're going to do one more round of this pattern. Bring it down and begin those bridges again. Press up, press down. Contract, relax. One of my favorite coaches in my past told me to imagine you're crushing a walnut with your glutes. And that's how hard you should be activating your butt muscles when you're doing an exercise like this. Again, we as humans really lack glute and core strength a lot of the times, and that leads to dysfunction and injuries, which we don't want. This is one of the best exercises out there for glutes and core, and it's why it's in most of my workouts. All right, we're going to hold that bridge up now. If you're using the band, you might really feel it burning in the sides of your glutes and hips, and I want you to embrace that added challenge of the band. All right, and time's up. Great job on the bridge hold to the bridge raise. Next, we're going to be doing a kneeling plank with a partial leg raise. So here's the important piece of this setup. You want to make sure that your knees are in line with your hips and shoulders. You don't want your knees in front of your hips. You're not going to get as great of a core workout that way. So again, I'm doing the kneeling version because I'm using the band. If you're not using a band, you might try the extended plank if you'd like. Once we're in the side plank, go ahead and raise the top leg slightly. So just separate the knees a little bit here. And you should feel that immediately in your glutes and in your sides. And this exercise in particular, the side plank plus leg raise, works the core and glutes really effectively at the same time. Specifically glute and core muscles that are typically very quiet. This exercise really wakes them up. All right, looks like that is almost 30 seconds here. Make sure the hips off the ground. Very good. Let's switch sides and do another 30 seconds. Again, it's important to line up your position so that your knees are not in front of your hips. I could take a yardstick from my elbow to my knee and it would all be in one line. Okay, so we're going to go up into that kneeling side plank, lift the hip off the ground, then just slightly lift that top leg. And I'm just kind of bunching up my really loose shirt here because I want you to see that that hip is really far off the ground. You don't want to be sagging through your hips. You want to make sure your hips are up off the ground a good amount and that there's good separation between your two knees. That way that you're really using your glutes in an added fashion there. So make sure there's some separation between your hip and the floor and between your knees. You should feel this in the sides of your core and in the sides of your hips. All right, go ahead and stand up. This next one, if you don't have a band, is going to be a little bit weird, so you might just want to skip ahead, but you can try it without a band. Just walking in place if you'd like. That's fine. It's movement, right? You're going to take a big step out and then a small step in. A big step out, small step in, just side to side here. And let's just work the glutes, the IT bands a little bit here. I've got soft knees and hips. I just want to show you from the side here. And we're working in the lateral plane of movement, which is great. If you're a runner or a cyclist, you really rarely get into those planes of movement. Or if you're somebody that walks a lot, you need those muscles to prevent injuries and to keep you strong on different types of terrain. But since we don't usually work those muscles directly in our sports, like running and cycling or several others that I mentioned, sometimes those muscles get weak and then we get into trouble. So that's a great one for us to do. All right, now we're going to turn the toes in slightly. And we're going to do a monster walk forward and then backwards. Just use the space that you have. I know you'll get a nice close-up here as I come towards you, nice and sweaty. So I'm taking about 8 to 10 steps forward. If you've got a bigger or smaller space, just do this for the time allotment that I'm doing them. You should feel it right where my hands are, the sides of your legs, your hips, your glutes. The good old monster walk. This one, if you've never done it before, you might actually want to try it without a band just to make sure you're kind of getting that toes in, that funky walk pattern. It is different. Try not to force your body into too many weird positions. So if this feels like you're forcing it or cranking your knees up, just don't be quite as dramatic with your inversion of the toes. Awesome job. Let's grab our moderate weight. If you're using one, you could also use a canned good item, a water bottle, a lot of different things. You can get creative there. We're going to step out into a side lunge, drop the weight across, and then punch it ahead. So you're stepping out into a side lunge. So step out, squat onto the outside leg. You're reaching across the body with the dumbbell, stepping together, punching overhead. And notice when I punch overhead, I'm really pushing my hip out to the side and kind of extending into that punch. That way I'm getting more work out of my obliques into that side bend there. Oh, it's a great movement. This movement is awesome because it crosses planes of movement. You're working rotationally with the reach. You're working overhead. You're working side to side. A great one for your legs, core, and arms. I want you to really think about finding your side muscles, your obliques, as you punch overhead. Really get into the movement there. Big punch, lean into it. There you go. Find the muscles that you'd like to work. Essentially, make your movement big and strong, specific to you. Good, let's switch sides here. Again, drop into that side lunge. Really drop the hips if you want to work your butt muscles. So drop the hips, squat to the side, big overhead punch, kicking the hip out. It's worth noting that I'm barefoot here, but I want you to see how both of my toes, my feet, both are pointed straight ahead. And I'm taking that risk. If I were to drop that weight on my foot, it would not feel very good on my run tomorrow. So you've got to be careful if you're working barefoot. There's a lot of benefits to it, but there's some risks too. Side lunge into a side bend overhead punch. Beautiful. This is a great strength training exercise, a great total body movement, and it's really great for anybody. Even if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm not an endurance athlete, I don't bike or run, that's fine. This is a great functional movement that you need as just a human being too. 12 reps is a lot, but we're almost there. Hang in there. Great job, you guys. Let's take it down to the floor next and place one knee in front of the other. Take your weight and hold it by both sides. Extend it over your head and then chop down towards the opposing hip, slowing the weight down as you rotate. This exercise is a multiplanar movement, which means it crosses all three planes of movement. So it's functional, but it's also a great workout for your core and even your arms a little bit. We're doing 12 per side. Try not to get sloppy as you bring the weight down towards your hip. You don't want gravity to help you too much here. So kind of chop up with force and then chop down, decelerating or slowing that weight down as you bring it towards your hip. Let's switch sides here and think about the breathing a little bit. Let's take a deep breath in as we extend the weight overhead. Let's exhale as we chop. Inhale, exhale. And again, if you want a good core, you've got to work the range of motion. So really try to twist as much as you can in either direction for the most effective workout. You might feel this in the lats as you raise the weight overhead, but you might really feel this pinch in the obliques or your core muscles as you rotate. Think about how you use rotation either in your sport or in just your activities of daily life, and it's important to train that way. All right, last movement, we're going to stand on one leg and then press a weight or resistance item overhead. Now, if you struggle with balance, you could do this body weight just by standing on one leg and pressing overhead and still get a great benefit of working stability. I'm balancing on my right leg and pressing my right hand overhead, so we're on the same side here. Of course, you're welcome to try it opposite too. I like doing same side and opposite side balance training movements. It's important to do both. Good, we're gonna switch sides here. Bring your knee up, try to line it up with your hip if you can, so there's a 90-degree bend at your hip. And then exhale as you raise your arm overhead, either with or without the weight. Think about squeezing your core, or another one of my great coaches once said, zip your core muscles up. Squeeze up from the bottom to the top. Like you're zipping up a coat, zip up your abdominals. Fire them together, and that will help with your balance as well. In all of these movements, you might be working, say, your arm muscles, but your core and glutes and all the other muscles are helping you complete the movement, and that's what makes them functional. All right, guys, up last, we're going to do a kettlebell series. So if you have a kettlebell, grab it. If you're just going to use a weight or no weight at all, you can just follow along with my movements here. Now, when you pick up a kettlebell, you always want to pretend like it's 1,000,000 pounds. So hinge at the hips, pull the shoulders down, and grab it. All right, just like what we did at the beginning, we've got a single leg reach now with weight instead of with the foam roller, so it's a nice progression. Remember, squeeze your core and just reach until you're in that nice T position. Don't feel like you have to go all the way to the ground, though you might if that works for you. I've got both hands on the handle of the kettlebell here, and I'm, as you can see from the side here, hinging at my hip with a soft knee. I'm not bending at my waist, reaching towards the floor, and then kicking my leg back. It's one smooth movement, and my shoulders stay in line with my heel. I'm training my hamstrings, glutes, and core muscles this way, but I'm also working on stability in my ankles, knees, and hips, and mobility in my hips. Okay, and we're going to switch sides here. Now, if you don't have a weight or a kettlebell, you can just do this body weight and get the same added benefits, just without the muscular strength building. It's a great way to start if you're still struggling with balance or new to exercise, so just don't even worry about the weight if you need to practice your balance. This workout includes muscle movements like this that work our lower body muscles that also require core strength. Most of my workouts are total body because you never just go through a day where you use, say, your biceps or your shoulders. So I don't really believe in isolated muscle workouts anymore where it's just fatiguing one muscle group, like, say, just chest and biceps. We're really working our entire body so that it works together as a unit when we need it to. All right, we're going to spread the feet apart shoulder width, and then we're just going to lean to the side. We're going to do the standing lateral oblique crunch, which everyone's got to love this one. It's a great way to work your core in the lateral plane of movement. Some of my athletes call this the muffin top crunch because it feels like you're crunching the muffin top there. But you're working those muscles, your obliques. Reach to the side, then stand up. It's a great movement. Anyone can do it, even if you're new to working out. It's a nice movement. You won't mess it up, I promise. Switch sides here. And going back to if you're somebody that enjoys doing isolated routines, like, say, chest and back, there is a time and a place for that. So I don't want to throw anybody out that enjoys those types of workouts. It is great to do some isolated workouts here and there if you really want to feel a good burn. Today, you're going to feel a burn everywhere. You're going to work every muscle, and you're going to have your muscles working together as a unit while you do so. Sadly, we're almost done here. We're going to finish out with tricep extensions. This one's a little bit dangerous, a little tricky. Grab the kettlebell by the handles and extend it overhead. Bend at the elbows and then straighten your arms out, keeping your elbows in towards your temples. This works the back of the arms. If your kettlebell is too heavy, it's not safe to lift it overhead in this fashion. So you might try using a dumbbell or a medicine ball, whatever you have laying around the house. I've done this with my Chihuahua before. He doesn't quite enjoy it, but hey, it's resistance, and I'm here just for a workout. So be creative and use what you have at home. Again, keep the elbows in, exhale as you extend the weight overhead. Bring it down carefully to the chest and then hinge at the hips to bring it to the floor. Excellent job. We're just gonna foam roll a little bit here to end. Foam rolling is a great way to shut your muscles down. It's essentially like a giant rolling pin. So wherever you're feeling a little tension in your muscles, just roll the foam roller over it. It's gonna be a little bit painful. It's, it'd be like using a rolling pin on sore muscles. It's kind of a hurt so good type of thing. So I'm doing my calves here. I'm starting right where my calves start, right behind my ankles, and going up where they attach, which is right behind the knee. So if you want to do your calves, make sure you're rolling from your ankle to your knee. If you want to get your hamstrings, make sure you're rolling from your knee up to right underneath your butt. So great way to finish there, just a nice little stretch. Thank you so much for joining me. You did awesome. Don't forget to subscribe so you stay up to date on all my workouts. Thanks, guys, and see you again soon.